Hello viewers, I'm Dr. Jyoti. Today let's discuss on a plant biotechnology topic which is agrobacterium mediated gene transfer. Now before going to the actual methodology of bringing about agrobacterium mediated transformation process, let's have a brief introduction as to what is genetic transformation. The process of transferring foreign gene. It can be natural process or it can be artificial process. For us to get a plant variety which is called as genetically modified plant or transgenic plant. Now there are two methods of gene transformation in plants, as I told you, direct method and indirect method. Direct method involves electroporation method, microprojectile method, particle bombardment method, etc. But indirect method has one example, that's agrobacterium mediated gene transformation. So indirect method aims in transferring the DNA by using a bacterial form. Now, you know the different methodologies involved in transferring the gene, that's a foreign gene, into a plant for us to land up in modified plant or production of transgenic plant. Now let's look into the general information of agrobacterium. Agrobacterium is a rod-shaped bacterium. It's a gram-negative bacterium which is found in soil. So they are soil-borne organism. They cause a disease to plant called crown gall disease. Also, hairy root disease to dicot plants. The bacterium is involved in transfer of tumor-inducing plasmid that gets incorporated into the plant's genome. Agrobacterium was discovered by two scientists, Smith and Townsend, in the year 1907. As you all know now, it is soil-borne gram-negative bacterium. It's a phytopathogen and it's rightly called or regarded as nature's most effective plant genetic engineer. And regarding the categories or kinds of agrobacterium, there are three important species identified or recognized. First one is Agrobacterium tumefaciens, which are known to cause crown gall disease. Next, you have Agrobacterium rhizogenes, which will cause hairy root disease. Then the last one, Agrobacterium radiobacter. They are a virulent strain, meaning they are not disease causing. So they infect dicot plants, but not monocots. Now let's have a systemic classification of Agrobacterium. Agrobacterium belongs to phyla Proteobacteria, class Alpha Proteobacteria, order Rhizoblades, then family Rhizobiaceae, genus Agrobacterium, species Agrobacterium tumefaciens. The species is tumefaciens. Ti plasmid and the virulence gene adds up to the important part of agrobacterium. Before moving into the actual technology, let's have a look at what is Ti plasmid. A Ti plasmid is a circular piece of DNA found in almost all agrobacterium. You know what do you mean by plasmids? Plasmids are extra chromosomal DNA which are present in bacteria. They are circular in nature. So there are three main regions associated with Ti plasmid. The very first region is tDNA region, that is present between the right and the left border of the DNA. They are mainly comprised of oncogene and opine. The second important region will be the virulence region, meant for virulence character or the disease causing ability. The last region is the opine catabolism region, meant for catabolizing opines. Next, let us look into the crown gall disease by Agrobacterium tumefaciens. Now, because of the plasmid, that's Ti plasmid, present in the Agrobacterium, the bacterium is able to cause a disease to the plants that's called crown gall disease. What happens and what is the protocol or the procedure? Now, you have infection is caused by wounds or damaged part of the plant. So bacteria cannot gain an entry without any wound or cuts on the plant. So they gain an entry through that, and this gaining of entry by the bacteria into the plant is facilitated by release of phenolic compounds like acetosyringon and hydroxysyringon, which are produced by the plants. So plants, as soon as they get wounded or they have some abrasions or damage, starts releasing phenolic compounds. So which gets a attraction, or the bacteria gets an attraction, or it's a signaling process where the bacteria can go to the point where exactly it is having the wound or abrasion. Now, the tDNA carries genes that will code for proteins involved in the biosynthesis of growth hormones, auxins, cytokinins, and plant metabolites, namely opines and agropines. Now, these growth hormones are required for the plant cell to proliferate or multiply, or they are involved in plant cell proliferation process. What is the purpose of opines and agropines? They are the source of carbon and energy which is required for the plants. Now, the transformation of cells by Agrobacterium tumefaciens involves numerous steps. The first step is called signal induction to Agrobacterium. As I told you before, that phenolic compounds and some sugar moieties induces some biochemical changes that help in transfer of tDNA. So there is a signal induction. Later, the agrobacterium gets attached. So the second step is attachment of agrobacterium to the plant cell. So agrobacterium attaches to the cell through polysaccharides and cellulose fibers. The third step is production of virulence protein. Now, signal induction causes virulence protein to form. Like you have virulence A, which induces in turn production of virulence G. This then further induces production of the rest of the virulence proteins, like VIR-D1 or D2, you have VIR-E, VIR-B, which are produced. Next step is production of single-stranded tDNA. This is actually recognized by VIR-D protein and thus carried forward to the host by VIR-D2. The next step is transfer of tDNA out of agrobacterium. So, tDNA is present in the agrobacterium, it needs to get transferred to the plant cell. So, the DNA is carried out by the VIR-D2 protein through a channel which is made by VIR-B protein. So then transfer of tDNA into plant cell and integration occurs. So integration of the DNA into the host cell is helped by a protein called VIR-E2 protein, which protects the DNA from degradation by the host. Otherwise, any DNA entering into a cell will get degraded by something called as restriction modification system. It's a protection method adopted by all cells, while VIR-D2 helps to navigate the DNA into the nucleus. Now, this process is called illegitimate recombination because it does not depend on the sequence similarity. Now, agrobacterium vectors are of two types. Now, you understood the protocol, how agrobacterium gains entry into the plant cell and how the DNA gets incorporated. Now, this is used by the genetic engineers so that DNA can be modified. So instead of the tDNA, that's the tumor DNA, we scientists can incorporate the gene of interest, and that is mimicked. So bacteria will not know that it is the recombined plasmid or TI plasmid. It, it feels it is a tDNA which is there, and it infects naturally and thus incorporates the foreign DNA. Now, there are two strategies employed for creating vectors. Agrobacterium vectors can be co-integrate vector system, or it can be binary agrobacterium vector system. Now, what happens in case of uh, organization of co-integrate vector system? Co-integrate vector strategy involves a complete set of plasmid which is actually produced from E. coli plasmid vector. So you have PBR322, which needs to be modified. So in co-integrate vector system, you don't have two different vectors. Rather, it is having all the characters. It is having a marker gene. It will have a gene for selection. It will have a gene for prokaryotic replication. It will have a gene for eukaryotic replication. So all combined together, and it is large in size when compared to the binary vector. What happens in case of binary vector strategy? In case of binary vector strategy, scientists employ two different vector systems. One is having only the tDNA, that's the tumor DNA, with a marker gene. It can be kanamycin resistant marker gene for an example. One more vector will have the TI plasmid, that's the virulence gene, and a specific resistant marker gene. Now, both these are introduced into agrobacterium. Because you are introducing two vectors in single organism, you call it as binary vector system. Now, this binary vector strategy employs two different vectors. So, one can be a helper vector, which helps the other vector for the process to go on. That is not the case in case of co-integrate vector system. So you understood the two strategies which are involved in bringing about the agrobacterium mediated transformation. Now, you have studied TI plasmid now. Now, TI plasmid will have regions associated. You have tDNA, which is flanked between left border and right border. And within that region, you can see a gene meant for auxin synthesis, a gene for cytokinin synthesis, and gene for opine synthesis. Coming down from the left border, you can locate virulence region. Now you know what is the purpose of virulence region, synthesis of vir proteins. You also know origin of replication, the purpose, which is meant for replication of the entire DNA. And you have opine catabolism. Then up there you have right border. So this is regarding the structure of tDNA. Now this tDNA is actually 200 kilobase long. They have all these genes located. So that is why you call agrobacterium as natural genetic engineer. Now when you study TI plasmid, you can group them into two categories. You have octopine type derived from arginine, and you have nopalline type which is derived from arginine again, but agropine derived from glutamate. So these are the two kinds of TI plasmid, octopine plasmid and nopalline plasmid. So now what is the strategy involved? How are you going to incorporate, and how is that bacterium literally helping the incorporation of the foreign DNA? Now you have Vir-A getting activated, which is produced as a product of Vir gene. It actually binds to the phenolic compound and it causes autophosphorylation due to autokinase activity. Activated Vir-A again causes phosphorylation of Vir-G protein, and Vir-G will get dimerized. It means Vir-A, Vir-G will form a dimer. And where D1 protein has topoisomerase activity, D2 has endonuclease activity. And where E2 is non-specific single-stranded binding protein. It binds to the single-stranded DNA, and as I told you previously, it will protect the action of nuclease. Otherwise, the DNA will get degraded. Vir B has 11 genes actually, and Vir E and Vir D2 contains nuclear localization signals. So it will literally allow the DNA to enter the nucleus. Now, if you take a plant cell, you will have outer cell wall, interior cell membrane or plasma membrane, within which you have cytoplasm. So when a DNA is entering, how will the DNA know that it has to gain an entry into the nucleus? So that is helped by Vir-E, and D2 leads the DNA. Otherwise, DNA will get uh, localized in the cytoplasm but doesn't enter the nucleus. Now, for it to incorporate with the host, it needs to gain an entry. You have Vir-C1, which specifically binds to overdrive sequence and stimulates the transfer process. Now you have the tDNA complex to its host cells. So this is the process of the integration of the tDNA into the plant. And once the plant gets infected, if it is natural infection, it results in crown gall disease. If it is artificial method where the gene is processed and a modified DNA gains entry or the gene of interest is getting incorporated, finally you can check for the transgenic plant variety, or we can land up in production of transgenic plants. Now, I told you in the beginning that it cannot infect monocots. Why? Why it cannot infect monocot? Why monocot plant is not infected by Agrobacterium tumefaciens is because monocots are not able to produce phenolic compounds. So, Agrobacterium tumefaciens require that signal induction by the plants. So, that is why it cannot infect monocots. So you have Agrobacterium which can be used for dicot plants. And I have told you the two strategies how gene can be incorporated by vector system. Now, how do you carry out this transgenesis process in the lab? First, you need to select an explant. So this is the protocol for making a transgenic plant by leaf disc transformation with Agrobacterium. So first you need to select the explant. So as I told, this is a protocol for leaf disc. We take an explant, which is a leaf, cut that into small discs. Then, as any sterilization process which is done in your plant tissue culture method, the initial sterilization method is followed. First, we'll be washing it with water, then double distilled water, and then subject that for mercurous chloride or sodium hypochlorite. So now the material is ready. Your explant is ready for inoculation. Now this explant is placed in a medium containing Agrobacterium because Agrobacterium should infect the leaf disc, after which the infected ones are selected and then allowed to multiply on a plant tissue culture medium. So there you have an Agrobacterium which is having a modified gene. It infects the leaf discs and the leaf discs becomes your explant for raising plants. So you can either go for callus culture or you can go for protoplast isolation method, or you can go for somatic hybridization, or you can go for shoot induction method. So there you have different protocols. Generally, we go for callus initiation, from which you differ the concentration of hormones in the media and then go for shoot induction, root induction, and finally get a plant. Now, this plant has to be screened for transgenics. So, which plant is transgenic and which one is not a transgenic plant? Now that just because you're incorporating the Agrobacterium, it doesn't mean that Agrobacterium has to infect, and you need to get all plant varieties which are transgenic variety. Now there is a final screening which need to be done to select the transgenic plant variety, further some research on that, and claim that the transgenic variety is done. So this is the protocol of getting a transformation process with agrobacterium. Now, why you need to go for this procedure or protocol? Why there's a need to modify a DNA? It doesn't mean that the DNA is not correct. It is. But you're modifying a DNA for you to get a desired product. Say, for example, you can employ this method entirely for plants, which attributes for some of the character in plant. Now, there might be a plant created for resistant character. It can be pest resistant, disease resistant. You can have insect resistant plant varieties. Otherwise, naturally they were getting infected. Also, you can get a plant variety for drought and herbicide resistant. So you have a climatic phenomenon. There are few plants which gets killed or which dies because of drought. So you create a plant which can resist the drought and still can survive in the environment. Likewise, you have freeze resistant, which can thrive in a freeze environment. So you can also produce a plant which are modified plants for the production of pharmaceutically important products. So all these adds up to the scope of plant tissue culture. So you can modify a plant for getting hormones, you can modify a plant for getting antibodies. So you call that as plantibodies. And also you have plants which are modified for edible vaccine. We get vaccinated through injections and drops. You can just eat some fruit or some part of the plant or some tissue, the edible one, and you get vaccinated. So still it's in the infancy stage where research is happening. But this is just to give you the glimpses why you need to carry out the process, or these are the uses of getting a plant modified by agrobacterium mediated transformation. Hope you got some information through my lecture video. Thank you.